Well, we have to talk about our degrading quality of life again in New York City because, not that many people are uh, basically striking up the courage to talk about it. And I obviously do want to get into a lot, of course. And there's been a lot going on in Fresh Meadows. And I, again, would have never thought in a million years that the community that I moved to when I was a kid is going on a very bad downward spiral. And things have gotten completely out of hand in New York City, where now we're starting to see vigilante behavior. I knew this was going to happen sooner rather than later, where a lot of these vigilantes were going to come out and claim that they were going to do the right thing, but in reality, some of this stuff is still illegal. Illegal. Yeah. So, just going to make my mic a little bit louder so at least you can hear me as we go along here. That's much better. Okay, we're on 7. Alright, so let's get into this. So, I cannot believe how bad the vigilantism is getting. It's just, you know, it's amazing to think. And again, my gut was telling me this. My gut was telling me that vigilantism was going to happen sooner rather than later. And this behavior, again, is just completely unacceptable. It really, really is. So, what led up to this vigilantism, you may be wondering? Well, let's find out what AM New York has to say. So here we go. So today it was announced by Mayor Eric Adams, along with NYPD Commissioner Keechant Sewell, that a 40-year-old man has been arrested for stabbing homeless people throughout Manhattan. So, here we go. So, according to AM New York, 40-year-old Trevin Murphy was allegedly accused of stabbing sleeping, unhoused individuals, killing one man inside Hudson River Park, and wounding 2 others. So, again, did I see this coming? Yes, I did. And I didn't want to say it on here. I wasn't going to give a fair warning. But, this is what the police now have to worry about. They have to worry now that citizens are now going to take things into their own hands because the police just don't want to do the job that they were doing during the Giuliani administration, where if you were homeless, you were given a summons for trespassing. And now the police don't even want to do that anymore. So, let's continue reading. So, it says here that Crime Stoppers was able to find a... okay, here we go. So, a retired correction officer did give a tip to Crime Stoppers. The suspect was wearing neon sneakers and an outfit at West 128th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue in Harlem. So, here we go. Oh, look at this. So the vigilantism goes all the way to Tennessee. Oh, okay, well, this really isn't vigilante behavior. This is more narcotics drug use. But look at this. A sleeping homeless person was assaulted by the suspect in Queens back in the spring. So, look at that. I mean, how in the world is Tennessee? I don't understand this. Tennessee is supposed to be a strict law and order state. How in the world does this guy get out in Tennessee and ends up in New York? I don't understand that. So look at that. So a roommate was attacked back in April. So, look at that. Permanent housing. Permanent housing, really. How is that going to work when some of these homeless people are violating trespassing laws? You really cannot make this stuff up. You really can't. So, there's more specifics on this. So, I want to quickly read through this. And then, Channel 1 actually is covering this. But, of course, they don't have a video on it. But we are going to get to the news from Fresh Meadows that Laura Uhl has been discussing the past couple of days. So, here we go. West Village Park killer sought courts for non-fatal stabbings. So let's read this. So it says here that back on July 11th, a 28-year-old homeless man was sleeping at 3:30 in the morning at Stanley Isaac Playground on the FDR Drive in the Upper East Side. So first of all, that kind of makes you alarmed that homeless people are now ending up in the ritzy Upper East Side neighborhood of Manhattan, where, by the way, I will mention that I have family who live in that part of Manhattan. According to authorities, the assailant approached the 28-year-old man at about 3:30 in the morning on Monday, July 11th. The homeless individual was laying on a park bench and knifed him in the abdomen, then put the farts unknown. The homeless individual was taken to Metropolitan Hospital, where he was listed in stable condition. So, look at this. 3 days earlier, 59-year-old man lying on a bench, another homeless person, Madison Avenue and East 49th Street in Midtown, at 10 p.m. on Friday, July 8th. This happened last week. The victim was taken to Weill Cornell Medical Center. So, here we go. It says here, this was the incident that we were reading about. 34-year-old man was sleeping on a bench at Hudson River Park back on Tuesday, July 5th. So this happened the day after the Highland Park shooting. You really cannot make this stuff up. At around 3:09 a.m. that morning, law enforcement sources said the killer walked up to the sleeping man, displayed a sharp object, and plunged it into the upper right abdomen. Oh, then look at this. He's last seen wearing a city bike. Wearing a city bike, yeah. So, again, just very disturbing. You know, remember, back in March, there was another incident where homeless individuals in both New York and in Washington, D.C. So, this isn't the first time this vigilantism has happened this year. This isn't the first time. So, again, it just comes to show what's going on here. And, you know, you could say all you want. Do you think that you're going to be a superhero? But in reality, you can't be doing this type of stuff. Alright? You know, the homeless are the homeless. I understand what has led up to them, but, you know, think about it. What's a better shelter for them? Jail or being in an overcrowded shelter? I mean, Rikers Island is a whole different story, but these so-called borough-based jails, I mean, yeah, they're likely going to end up in Kew Gardens, because that's what Eric Adams wants. Okay, so here we go. I want to see... Yeah, here we go. So this is the knife that was used, because I knew the Crime Stoppers did tweet this earlier. So this is the knife that was used in the incidents. And of course, this is probably going to be all over 2, 4, 5, 7, 11 tonight. Knowing... But you don't know if Channel 1's really going to be covering this. And you know what? If they don't, they don't. Because there's been other news that's been ignored in Fresh Meadows that we are going to get into. So, of course, Channel 1 ignored this along with every other media outlet. Because, again, we're Fresh Meadows. We're Jewish. We're Asian. So, we don't count if we're a bunch of middle upper class people that deserve to feel safe. Now, do we? So, here we go. And by the way, not to mention, I'm one of the few working class people who live in Fresh Meadows. So, go figure that out. Police are advising all to stay indoors after multiple victims were robbed outside. 3 suspects, males, black, 16 to 20, are on the robbery spree. One person was robbed by 181st Street and Horace Harding Expressway. Next person was robbed on 73rd Avenue and 188th Street. Another person was robbed by Fresh Meadows Lane and 69th Avenue. Another person was robbed by Horace Harding Expressway and 188th Street. So, there is a report that these teenagers, teenagers, are reportedly living in one of the hotels in the area. Maybe bored. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up. These are juveniles who probably got let out on bail reform. That doesn't surprise me. And then look at this. Springfield Boulevard, Union Turnpike, and Bayside. Look at this. 20 cars broken into overnight. Look at this. Also, service road of the Grand Central Parkway. This is one of the vehicles that was smashed in the incident. So, again, just very, very unfortunate. And then, look what happened back in April. They still haven't found these guys. This shooting happened, what, 3 months ago? Back in April? How in the world have they not been able to catch these guys? You really cannot make this stuff up. Right in front of the... Remember, this was right in front of the preschool. And then, this really makes something interesting here. Pistol whipping. Pistol whipping. This is what my parents had to worry about in the 1980s. What is this? 1982? Oh my God, I gotta read this. Police are at 71st Avenue and Continental in Forest Hills reporting an armed robbery. This is at the Forest Hills subway station. Robbery is the crime of taking or attempting to take anything of value by force, threat of force, Apple products, right? Blunder. No. Okay, so it says here, suspect approached the victim and displayed a gun. Victim resisted and then was pistol whipped. Another bystander was also attacked during the incident. The suspect took off on foot. So again, as I said, when I read this last night, my first reaction was pistol whipping. I mean, really. As I said, is this 1982 all over again? Really? Really? And yet, my youngest cousins right now, they're still in the millennial age group, and they don't understand what our parents had to go through. They were scared to go into New York City. This is the same thing all over again. This is the same thing. So here we go. Police activity on Jamaica Avenue and Parsons Boulevard. So of course, this is Jamaica. So because Jamaica has Latinos and blacks who are below the poverty line, and sorry, we're not going to cover this neighborhood. So here we go. 2 suspects wanted for armed robbery after slashing a victim on Jamaica Avenue. This is by the local public park near Parsons Boulevard. The victim resisted during the robbery and was slashed resulted in lacerations. One of the suspects also displayed a gun. EMS was working to transport the victim to a local hospital. So, again, you know what's going on in Queens. So as I've said, we are Staten Island 2.0. This is the example of what you get right here. Speaking of Forgotten Meadows, look what else happened in my neighborhood. Attempted burglary. And by the way, I'll mention, somebody actually got arrested for making a fake 911 call on Saturday. I found out from Citizen App. Somebody claimed gunshots were going off on 186th Lane. Turns out they traced the call back, and somebody was in Fresh Meadows housing complex. It was fireworks. And the police arrested the person who made the fake phone call. So, I was literally in Long Island when I got that notification from Citizen App. I was checking the chat, and thankfully, again, somebody was listening to the police scanner, and they brought that up. So, yep, another example of what goes on in Fresh Meadows. So this happened earlier this month, so here we go. They don't even mention when this happened. You kidding me? When did this incident happen? Look at this. I mean, look what's going on in Fresh Meadows. Look what's going on. Look. I mean, it's so alarming what's going on in my neighborhood. So this happened earlier this month. So here we go. So a woman was approaching the home on 164th Street between 71st and 72nd Avenue near the Emerald Playground. Oh, look at this. Not too far from where Naomi's Pizza is. So they rung the doorbell. Shortly afterwards, a man approached the door and pulled a crowbar from a backpack he was wearing across his chest. Yep, so 107 Precinct. Yeah, this happened right by 107 Precinct. These guys have to be so stupid to literally rob a home right by the 107 Precinct. So, here's a surveillance video. Let's watch. Like I said, these doorbell cameras are very important. Just look at this. I mean, really, you would think Channel 1 would air this. You would think that Channel 1 would play the audio so then that way people in Fresh Meadows knows what's going on. But no! Yeah, they definitely got a good look at this guy. They and the girl. They definitely got a good look. Okay, so unsuccessful attempt to pry the door open. So very alarming. Of course, the homeowner was not home when this happened. So we do have pictures from the Crime Stoppers unit. So let's give a description of the suspects. So the woman was approximately in her 30s, medium complexion, long black hair. She was last seen wearing a black Adidas baseball cap, purple t-shirt, and purple blue jeans. The man is described as being in his 30s, medium complexion, medium build, short black hair, tattoo on his upper left arm. He was last seen wearing a black baseball cap with a Puma logo on the front, a black t-shirt, and yellow work glasses. So, as I said, you're not going to hear about this on Channel 1. Because, again, we don't matter. We just don't. Oh, no. Oh, and then look at this. Another robbery. This one in Ozone Park. So where did this happen? So here we go. Incident occurred on Saturday, July 2nd. Unidentified woman approached a 39-year-old victim at the home along the service road of the Van Wyck Expressway near 111th Street. The woman pulled off the robbery in broad daylight. So here we go. The suspect pulled out a silver handgun and said, "I need your purse." The victim attempted to flee, but the woman forcibly removed her Apple iPhone 11 and her wallet, containing credit cards and $60 in cash before taking southbound on the Van Wyck Expressway service road. So at least the good news is the victim was not injured. Alright, so they do got a good look of her. So here we go. So here we go. The suspect description: dark hair, female, was wearing sunglasses, a white tank top, gold pendant hanging from her neck, and dark sneakers. So, again, this is what we get in Queens, but again, you know what goes on here because we just don't matter. We don't matter to them. We just don't. Oh, and look at this. More home robberies. I mean, these home burglaries are getting way out of hand. And then look, there was a Bodega fire in Ridgewood. There was a Bodega fire in Ridgewood. I mean, really? Really? Alright, so we're going to read these last three stories, because we did talk about the incident that happened with Francis Lewis over the weekend. So let's read this, because I'm first hearing about this. Where in Ridgewood did this happen? Cypress Avenue and Summerfield Street. Here we go. Bodega fire happened on Sunday morning, July 10th. So again, where was the media on this? This should have been a top story on Sunday. So here we go. Basement fire at Barbara and Domingo Bodega, which is located on the ground floor of a 4-story apartment building. So it says here that the fire... Oh wait, was this in the afternoon? Okay, so this was in the afternoon. Okay, so this is put under an hour. One civilian suffered minor injuries, attempted to escape the fire, and refused medical attention. So, fire marshals will look into the cause of the fire. So, according to one resident who spoke with fire marshals, she claimed that the cause of fire was likely from boxes left behind in the building. Which, that could make sense. You know, these owners were really irresponsible if that would be the case. Okay, so let's get back to the robberies, and then we'll wrap this video up, because I've, again, lost my patience with the media. Typical behavior of them. So, we have a robbery in Maspeth. Where did this happen? This happened Wednesday, July 6, 7:30 p.m. Suspect entered the home of a 36-year-old woman on Dry Harbor Road near 60th Avenue in Maspeth. The thief came through a side window, and once inside, he removed jewelry, credit cards, and approximately $4,500 in cash, police said. The man took off in an unknown direction. No injuries were reported. So, according to Crime Stoppers, the suspect was last seen wearing a dark vest and a black face mask with a light complexion. So let's read this last one, because I know Pine Power LI did a good job covering Long Island. And I figured if I'm going to keep it 20 minutes, I should do it now. So here we go. Police from several Queens precincts are on the lookout for a group of armed moped riders who allegedly robbed several people during a one-day crime spree on Wednesday, July 6th. So this happened last week. Look at that. The first incident occurred just before 11 a.m. in front of 67-02 Kessel Street in Forest Hills, when the two men approached a 21-year-old woman as she was walking northbound. One of the moped riders pulled out a knife and forcibly removed her cell phone, a debit card, and an ID. The suspects fled westbound on Yellowstone Boulevard, and the woman refused medical attention. 20 minutes later, at 80th Street and Cooper Avenue in Ridgewood's 104th Precinct, the two suspects approached an 86-year-old elderly man at the intersection and forcibly removed a gold chain before shoving the victim to the ground. Are you kidding me? This happened right by the Q38 bus stop. Suspects rode off eastbound on Cooper Avenue, and the victim refused medical attention at the scene, according to NYPD. So here we go. Elmhurst. Look at this. 48-year-old man approached on the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and 89th Street, so not too far from where the subway station was. 4 mopeds. One of the suspects pulled out a handgun, and the suspects forcibly removed the victim's gold chain before riding off westbound on Roosevelt. The victim was not injured. So, these guys can be going all over Queens right now. Look at that. I think this was the woman that was robbed in Forest Hills. Yeah. Well, they blurred her face out. Yeah, they got a good look of him. They definitely do. Yeah, this is definitely a group of riders. So, I mean, you really got to watch your back out there. It's just so alarming. It really, really is. So, our New York City, again, is at risk. We are day by day witnessing the downfall of the once great metropolitan known as New York City. It is so unfortunate this has to come down this way. But I have to keep talking about what's going on because nobody else will. So that's it.